All right, let's dive in. Welcome to our deep dive into The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 1 by Drunvalo Melchizedek.
Ooh, this one's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic for sure. I think we're going to be exploring some really fascinating ideas about ancient history and consciousness and how they're all connected. We'll see how deep this rabbit hole goes, maybe even get a glimpse into the future.
Sounds like a plan. You know, what always intrigues me about Melchizedek's work is how he kind of blends spirituality, ancient history, and even like touches on science.
Yeah, he's got it all in
It's a
there.
heady mix. One of the big ideas he presents is this whole concept that humanity, existed in this like higher state of consciousness
Uh-huh.
way back like 13,000 years ago,
Okay.
before we had this big fall, as he calls it.
The fall from grace.
Yeah, exactly. Fall from grace. And he suggests that this fall landed us right here in our current, 3D reality.
Okay, I'm already hooked. We're talking fall from grace, higher consciousness, different dimensions. I'm getting some ancient aliens vibes here, but what exactly does this fall actually mean? Like, did we lose some cosmic superpowers or something?
That's a good question. It's not so much about losing, like specific abilities,
Okay.
but more about how we perceive reality.
Mm-hmm.
Melchizedek, he describes it as this like separation of our consciousness,
Uh-huh.
a split between that, logical left brain thinking and the intuitive right brain awareness.
Okay.
So it's like we got hyper-focused on the material world and kind of lost touch with that, like, deeper interconnected reality.
Ah, so we traded in our cosmic Wi-Fi for a dial-up connection.
Exactly. We're working with limited bandwidth now.
Yeah, I can see how that would definitely limit our perception. But hold on a sec. Where did Melchizedek get all these ideas from? Is he just, like, riffing on ancient myths, or is there something more to it?
Well, this is where it gets juicy. Melchizedek, he actually claims that his insights came from communicating with Thoth.
Mm.
Yeah. Thoth, an ancient Egyptian being,
Yeah.
supposedly like a scribe and keeper of, all this ancient wisdom.
Okay.
And, get this, Thoth even described traveling to other planets and observing different life forms.
Whoa, interdimensional historian. That's quite a source. But let's get specific here. What evidence does Melchizedek actually present to back up these wild claims?
All right, so one piece of evidence he points to is the flower of life symbol,
Okay.
which is found in ancient Egypt, but it's actually in other cultures too.
Right, right.
Melchizedek, he encountered this symbol at the Temple of Seti in Abydos,
Mm-hmm.
in Abydos.
Mm-hmm.
And he claims that Thoth revealed to him that this symbol holds like profound significance, like it contains the blueprint for understanding, creation itself.
A blueprint for creation hidden within a geometric symbol. That's a bold statement. What exactly is this flower of life, and how does it hold all this knowledge, supposedly?
So imagine the flower of life as a visual representation of the interconnectedness of everything,
Right.
It's got all these overlapping circles that create these beautiful, intricate patterns.
Yeah.
And according to Melchizedek, these patterns hold the keys to understanding everything, like from the laws of physics to the structure of the human body.
Mm.
It's pretty wild. He even shows how it contains the seed of life and the tree of life. Those patterns show up in various cultures across the globe.
So it's not just some cool design, it's like a cosmic Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, exactly, like a universal language.
And it's not only in Egypt. This is starting to feel like a deep hidden connection between all these ancient cultures.
Absolutely. Melchizedek, he found similar symbols in cultures as far away as Peru, and he points to the Dogon tribe in Africa as another great example.
Oh yeah, the Dogon. They're the ones with that incredible knowledge about the Sirius star system, right?
You got it. They knew about Sirius B, which is a white dwarf star, way before modern science even discovered it.
Wait a minute. The Dogon knew about a star that you can't even see with the naked eye. How is that even possible?
Well, the Dogon, they claim that their knowledge came from these beings called the Nomos,
Okay.
who were, get this, amphibious beings from the Sirius system.
Amphibious beings from Sirius. All right, that's officially mind-boggling.
I
It just makes you wonder if these ancient cultures knew about all these profound cosmic connections.
Yeah.
Were they also in tune with stuff that could, impact our planet, like those pole shifts you mentioned earlier?
That's a great point.
Yep.
And Melchizedek, he actually suggests that pole shifts are cyclical events. They've happened before,
Okay.
And guess when he places the last major one?
Around that 13,000 year mark, right? Same time as the fall from grace.
Bingo. It's a pretty fascinating correlation.
Yeah.
And there's some evidence that scientists have found
Yeah.
that suggests a major pole shift did occur around that time,
Hmm.
like coinciding with the end of the last ice age.
So we have this fall from A higher state of consciousness, a shift in perception, and a major pole shift, all happening around the same time. Like we're piecing together a cosmic puzzle. But how do these pole shifts fit into this bigger picture? What's the connection to consciousness?
But picture this. The Earth wobbling on its axis, going through these grand cycles, like the precession of the equinoxes,
Right.
which spans about 26,000 years. It's like this, like a constant dance, you know.
Right.
It makes you think, are we just passengers on this cosmic ride? Or are we somehow active participants in this dance of energy and transformation?
Okay, you've officially piqued my curiosity. We've got ancient knowledge encoded in symbols, interstellar visitors sharing wisdom, and the Earth going through these major shifts. Where does it all lead? What does Melchizedek say about our place in this grand cosmic narrative?
Well, that's where we delve into Melchizedek's concept of what he calls the Great Void.
Okay.
This period of like 3.5 days
Oh, okay.
that he claims happens during these pole shifts. This is where things get pretty interesting, but we'll have to save that for the next part of our deep dive.
All right. You've left me hanging on the edge of my seat. This is shaping up to be quite the journey. Can't wait to explore this whole Great Void thing and how it ties into everything we've talked about so far.
So, the Great Void. Before the break, we were just talking about it.
Yeah, you really had me on the edge of my seat there. What exactly is this Great Void?
Well, it's a period of like 3.5 days
Okay.
that Melchizedek says happens during a pole shift where essentially the Earth goes quiet,
Good.
electromagnetically quiet. He describes it as like a time when the Earth enters this null zone and our familiar reality kind of just dissolves.
Hold on. 3.5 days of electromagnetic silence. I mean, what even happens during that time? Does everything just stop?
It's not so much about things stopping, I think, but more about a shift in consciousness, a really profound one.
Okay.
He says that a lot of different cultures, indigenous traditions included, they've actually described this void period, you know? They talk about it as a time when the veil between worlds thins.
Oh,
And we can, like, access other dimensions of reality.
so it's like a cosmic reset, a chance to kind of recalibrate our connection to the universe. But 3.5 days of no electromagnetic activity. Wouldn't that just totally mess up our technology?
Well, it does raise some questions,
Right.
for sure. But Melchizedek, he's not so focused on, like, the technology part of it.
Okay.
He's more interested in what this could mean for spiritual transformation during this time. He sees it as, like, this huge opportunity for humanity to, reconnect with its true nature, to tap back into that higher state of consciousness we were talking about earlier.
It's like we get to like upgrade our operating system, reboot that connection to the cosmic source code.
Exactly, a total system upgrade.
That's kind of a cool way to think about it. But is there like any actual evidence for this whole Great Void idea? Or is it just like a theoretical thing?
So this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Melchizedek's work, it's based on these like esoteric traditions. But there actually are some scientific studies that suggest there could be these electromagnetic null zones.
Really?
Yeah. Researchers have found evidence of places where the Earth's magnetic field, it like weakens significantly.
Okay.
And those areas, they're linked to all sorts of weird phenomena, including, get this, altered states of consciousness.
Okay, so maybe there's some science backing up this wild theory after all. I like it. Let's shift gears for a second, talk about that Christ consciousness grid.
Okay.
How does that fit in with all of this?
Remember how we were talking about that separation of consciousness?
Yeah.
That whole fall from grace thing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Melchizedek, he thinks the Christ consciousness grid was created to help like counterbalance that separation and steer humanity back towards like unity consciousness.
A grid, like a planetary energy grid. Is this something you can, see or measure?
Well, imagine it more as this network of energy lines that connect all these like sacred sites all over the world. Like Melchizedek, he points out that a lot of these ancient structures, like the pyramids in Egypt, Stonehenge, even some mountain ranges,
Yeah.
they're all placed at these specific points on this grid. It's like they're like antennas or amplifiers for this energy, influencing consciousness, connecting all life on Earth.
So it's like a cosmic internet linking us all together on an energetic level.
Exactly. We're all plugged in, whether we know it or not.
Okay, I can kind of see that. But if this grid is here to help us evolve, why is there still so much conflict, so much division in the world?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Melchizedek suggests that it just takes time, for this energy to really integrate into our collective consciousness. It's like we're waking up to this interconnection, but those old patterns of fear, of separation, they're still hanging around.
It's like we got this cosmic upgrade, but haven't quite figured out how to install the software, right? But imagine if we could tap into this grid fully. What could that look like? What kind of world could we build?
Melchizedek, he actually envisions a world where humanity embraces its full potential,
Okay.
living in harmony with nature and with each other. A world where, compassion and cooperation and creativity just flourish. He believes that by aligning ourselves with this grid, we can speed up our evolution towards unity consciousness
Yeah.
and create a world that reflects our highest aspirations.
That's beautiful. And it makes me think about what Melchizedek says about the human body reflecting the universe.
Oh, yeah.
He talks about all this fascinating geometry that we're literally made of, the phi ratio, the Fibonacci spirals.
Absolutely. Those proportions, they're not just in our bodies, but in art and architecture.
Right.
Nature, everything. It all points to this deep connection between, all things. Melchizedek, he sees the human body as a hologram of the universe, literally reflecting these same principles and patterns.
It's like we're walking, talking embodiments of the cosmos. What does that mean for how we understand ourselves, our place in the grand scheme of things?
Well, if we really are microcosms of the universe, it means we have this, insane potential for growth and transformation, We carry the blueprint for creation inside of us. And by, exploring the geometry of our own bodies, we can actually gain these insights into consciousness itself, into the mysteries of the universe. Melchizedek even talks about how practices like meditation and breath work can help us tap into that deeper connection.
So it's about going inward to connect with the outward, exploring our inner universe to understand the outer universe. That's deep. But let's talk more about that new human race Melchizedek keeps mentioning.
Okay.
What's that all about?
So he believes that as we go through these periods of accelerated evolution, our DNA is evolving too.
Okay.
He talks about this new generation of humans that are spontaneously experiencing genetic mutations. They're activating those dormant strands of DNA.
Yeah.
He even suggests that these changes could give us greater immunity to diseases like AIDS.
A new human race with upgraded DNA. That sounds like something straight out of a movie. Is there actually any evidence for that?
It's a controversial claim, for sure.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of growing interest in the field of epigenetics now,
Right.
which looks at how our environment can actually influence our genes.
Interesting.
Some researchers think that our experiences, even our thoughts, can change our DNA.
Wow.
Leading to these changes that could be passed down to future generations.
So our choices and our environment, they can actually rewrite our genetic code. That's pretty wild.
It is.
It also raises all sorts of questions about genetic manipulation, ethical stuff, unintended consequences.
You're right. It's a very complex issue with a lot of implications.
Yeah.
But Melchizedek, he's more focused on the natural evolutionary potential of humans. He thinks we're going through this spontaneous upgrade, a natural progression to this more advanced way of being.
It's like we're getting this cosmic push towards our next evolutionary leap, but if these changes are happening spontaneously, why aren't we seeing more of it? Why isn't everyone suddenly developing superhuman abilities?
He says it's a gradual process.
Okay.
The slow awakening of all that dormant potential we have. It's like we're collectively shifting into a higher gear, but it takes time for those changes to, really show up. He compares it to the evolution of consciousness, a journey that's unfolded over millennia.
So it's not about this instant transformation, but more like an ongoing process,
Right.
continuous evolution, embracing the journey, trusting that we're headed in the right direction, even if we don't totally get the destination.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. But before we get too lost in these visions of a superhuman future, let's bring it back to right now. What does Melchizedek say about all the challenges we're facing right now? And how can his work actually help us navigate these crazy times?
That's where we'll pick up in the final part of our deep dive.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into the ancient secret of the flower of life. We've covered a lot of ground so far.
We have ancient knowledge, pole shifts, a new human race, the Christ consciousness grid, even the idea that our bodies, mirror the universe.
Yeah, it's been pretty mind-blowing. But I keep wondering, where does it all lead? What's the takeaway?
That's the thing about Melchizedek. He opens these doors and kind of leaves it up to us to explore. you know?
Hmm.
He encourages us to really think about this stuff, to explore these ideas for ourselves. But he does give us some things to consider, for how to deal with all the challenges we're facing today.
So let's bring it back to Earth for a minute, literally. What does Melchizedek say about, like, the state of our planet? All the crises we're dealing with.
He makes some interesting connections between what's happening now, environmental stuff, climate change, all the unrest,
Yeah.
and what supposedly happened with Atlantis, before the fall.
Oh, interesting.
He suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're on the edge of another one of those big shifts.
Like a tipping point.
Yeah, exactly. Something that could completely reshape the world as we know it.
So it's not all doom and gloom. He sees this as an opportunity, even if it's, through some rough stuff.
I think so. He seems to believe that these crises, they're like these catalysts for evolution. They kind of force us to confront our limits, and embrace new ways of being.
So it's like we're being pushed to evolve whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Necessity is the mother of invention. Maybe that applies here too.
Maybe. Maybe all this is pushing us to tap into that potential we were talking about before.
Right.
Access that wisdom that's like hidden in those dormant parts of our DNA.
That makes a lot of sense.
And he also talks about how important it is to do that inner work, especially now. Cultivating that inner peace, that harmony.
Yeah.
Especially when the world feels so chaotic.
It's like being the calm in the center of the storm.
Exactly. Radiating that peace and stability outward. And he talks a lot about community too, coming together, supporting each other through all of this.
It's easy to forget that we're not alone in this. We're all connected. Part of something much bigger.
We are. But all this talk about transformation, this new human race,
Yeah.
makes me think about death. Where does that fit in?
That's a good question.
Melchizedek, he approaches death with this sense of reverence and curiosity. He says it's not really the end. It's more like a transition to, another state of being.
Okay.
He even talks about immortality.
Really?
Not in the, literal physical sense, but as this state of expanded consciousness.
Immortality. That's a concept that's fascinated people forever. But if death isn't the end, then, what's the point of all this? What does Melchizedek say about the purpose of life?
Well, he doesn't give us, a simple answer, you
Yeah.
know? Instead, he says, we're here to learn, to grow, to evolve. We're here to experience everything, all the emotions, explore our creativity, and contribute to how consciousness unfolds in the universe.
Wow.
He even suggests that we might be like co-creators of reality,
Oh.
actively shaping the world around us with our thoughts and beliefs and actions.
That's a lot to take in. It's pretty empowering, but also kind of humbling to think we might have that much influence over reality.
So where do we go from here? How do we actually use all of this in our everyday lives?
He encourages us to approach life with this sense of wonder and curiosity,
Okay.
to explore everything, both the world outside and inside of us. But with open hearts and minds,
Yeah.
he wants us to question our assumptions, challenge our limitations, and really embrace the mystery of it all,
So he's not just giving us the answers. He's teaching us to ask better questions.
Exactly. He's inviting us to become active participants in our own evolution and to remember that we're not alone on this journey. We're all in this together, supporting each other as we figure it all out.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I know I'll be thinking about all of this for a long time.
Me too. It's been a pleasure exploring this with you. And for everyone listening, if this stuff resonates with you, keep digging into Melchizedek's work. Maybe the biggest takeaway here is just remembering that we're all part of something so much bigger than ourselves. Keep asking questions, explore that mystery, and see what you discover, both in yourself and the world around you.